Man, I'll tell you, it's hard out here for a squirrel. Hey folks, welcome to This Week in History. Let's crank this puppy up. On November 15th in 1532, Francisco Pizarro met with the Incan Emperor Atahualpa for the first time, arranging a meeting for the next day. Something more important happened at that meeting, but we'll get to that. In 1942, the Battle of Guadalcanal ended in a decisive Allied victory. One of the ships injured in the fighting was the USS Juno, and if you want to know more about her sinking and the fates of the 5 Sullivan brothers on board, check out the eye up there. On November 16th of 1272, Edward I, also known as the Longshanks, became King of England upon his father Henry III's death. The problem was Edward was taking part in the Ninth Crusade and wouldn't return to England to take the throne for another 2 years. In 1532, see, I told you something bigger happened, Francisco Pizarro and his men captured Incan Emperor Atahualpa in an ambush at Cajamarca. They ended up going the Aztec route, where they tried to rule through the emperor, and like with the Aztecs, it just didn't work, so the Spanish ended up killing everybody. In 1793, the Drownings of Nonce began with the drowning of 90 Roman Catholic priests. The drownings would continue for about 3 months, with people putting the death toll between 1,800 and 9,000. Oh, and we know of at least 5 infants that were executed by drowning during this time. Yep, they just took them out in the middle of the river and threw them overboard. And of course, this was part of the French Revolution. On November 17th of 1558, Mary I, aka Bloody Mary, yep, check out the eye up there, died and was succeeded by her half-sister Elizabeth I, beginning the Elizabethan era. In 1810, the Anglo-Swedish War began when Sweden declared war on the United Kingdom on paper. In reality, there was never any conflict between the two. Sweden only did it because France made them, and the two continued to trade throughout the almost 2-year war. The only casualties during the entire thing were from a Swedish uprising against conscription, where 40 Swedes were killed by Swedish soldiers. So I guess that means the British won? In 1858, the city of Denver, Colorado was founded. It's named after James Denver, who was governor of the Kansas territory that it was part of at the time, mostly to curry his favor in allowing it to become the county seat. However, Denver, the guy, resigned not long after, and the city's name held no bearing on that decision. On November 18th, 1095, the Council of Clermont, which was called by Pope Urban II and included his call for the First Crusade, began. If you want to know more about the First Crusade, we've got a video on it. In 1421, St. Elizabeth's Flood. You know what's coming, so say it with me now. Named so because it happened on St. Elizabeth's Day. Today is St. Elizabeth's Day. Happy St. Elizabeth's Day. Caused a seawall in the Netherlands to break, flooding 72 villages and killing about 10,000 people. It's actually the 20th worst flood in history. On November 19th in 1863, Abraham Lincoln delivered his famous Gettysburg Address at the dedication ceremony for the military cemetery in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Yes, the 7 years ago one. On November 20th in 1820, the Essex was attacked and sank by an 80-ton sperm whale, about 2,000 miles away from the western coast of South America. Yes, it was the basis for Moby Dick, and also the subject of an episode of History's Worst Cruises that you can check out by hitting the eye up there. On November 21st in 1620, settlers of the Plymouth colony signed the Mayflower Compact, basically agreeing to a social contract of rules to follow. In 1920, at least 30 people were killed in Dublin, first in an attack on British intelligence officials, then in a reprisal attack by the British military where they opened fire on a crowd watching a football match. This has since become known as Bloody Sunday. And birthdays this week, we've got Judge and First Commissioner of Baseball, well, First Commissioner of any sport, Kennesaw Mountain Landis in 1866, the last Roman Emperor in the Year of 4 Emperors, Vespasian in 9, and John I, King of France, and this one's an interesting one here. John's father died 5 or 6 months before he was born, so when he actually was born as king. Unfortunately, he only lived for 5 days, so he is not only the youngest king, but also has the shortest reign, and is the only king to reign his entire life. And he was born this week at 1316. And it looks like that's going to do it for this week, but we'll see you back here next week. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. Be good to each other, be good to yourself, and do squirrely things, but never be too squirrely.